I'm Chef Corey Goldsmith. I'm a ACF accredited chef, which is the American Culinary Federation. And today I'm going to show you that icing a cake is really simply a piece of cake. First off, you need a cake and icing simply. It's as simple as that. Today we have a vanilla cake, which is the American traditional cake. Usually it's vanilla yellow cake with a chocolate frosting. But I might be a little sinful here and y'all might hate me, but I'm not a chocolate fan and I do not like chocolate. But I love vanilla, which is the #1 flavor in America. So today I'm going to do a vanilla cake with a vanilla frosting. First off, you have necessary equipment and optional equipment. In our necessary equipment, you have a round. I have a 10-inch round and I recommend 10-inch rounds because usually your cakes are usually 9-inch. And this is a 9-inch cake. Or if you have an 8-inch cake. So if you buy an 8-inch round and you want a 9-inch cake, it's not going to fit. So simply 10-inch rounds are the most efficient for any cake because you can cut it to the size that you need. We have a piping bag, we have tips, a cake spatula, a cake knife, and then we have smaller, different cake spatulas depending on what you're doing. And our optional equipment is another spatula. It's just a different form, comb, which gives you the decorations on the sides. This right here is a cream whip. If you ever taken whipping cream or egg whites and you beat them in the bowl or with the beater, and you're sitting there, it's taking all day, and you're working out your biceps. But this simply does it in one form. You just take it off. It has a charger. You pour your whipping cream. It holds a pint. They make different sizes. This right simply is CO2, which is supposed to be harmful for you, but I don't think it is. And you screw it in, and it simply beats the air into it, and you'll shake it, and you have whipped cream. It's that simple. And a scale. I highly recommend the scale. Most people, like my mom, are very scared of this thing. This right here is the most simple form to have the most accurate cakes or icing or anything, because you weigh it out. Usually it's always, every ingredient always tells you how much it is on the side of the box. It's a FDA law. They have to put it on there. So simply you can weigh it out and you can zero it out and add the next ingredient. You're not dirtying up too many bowls, and you just keep working in the same bowl. It holds up to 13 pounds, which if you build a 13-pound cake, please invite me to the party. So we have now that we have our equipment, that you have your necessary and your optional equipment, we're going to go to building the cake. First off, you could just build a cake from the icing completely. We could pipe it in the middle, we could put the other on top, and you could just have simply a buttercream cake. But for flavor, I thought, and the coolness of the cream machine, I'm going to add a filling to a cake. There's multiple ways. There's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to build a cake. But we're going to start in the middle, and we're just going to work from the outside. And the turntable really helps. This is also a necessary equipment. And what we want to do is we want to go to about 1/4 inch to the side. Because if we go any further than that, it's all going to spill out when we put the other cake on top. Let it do its thing. Hope it don't get you. And then we'll take our second layer, peel it off, and you want to be over the cake. So you want to lay it down gently and let it fold itself back on top. Good. Now we could, if I was icing this whole cake with a cake spatula, I would put all the icing on top that I thought I'd need. And I'd work my way out from the center. I'd hold it with my thumb and my forefinger, like you hold a knife, and I would just work it with an S and work my way, and then work my way around the edge instead of doing the edge and then doing the top. But since I'm piping it, and it's the simplest way, and I think it's the most easy way to get an elegant cake, to take something from a $20 cake to a $40 cake, is a piping bag. And we'll just go up and down like an S form, the same way that you would the other. And the different piping tips will give you a different design. So I'm going to do half the cake like this, and then I'll come in and I'll ice the other way from the top so that you can see both ways. Now if you have any holes in your cake like I did, because you always got to try it, right? Then we'll just fill it in with the icing right now. And the gap that's in between the two cakes, this is where you're using the icing to fill it in. Now I have some here that I whipped up with a hand mixer to get it loose again. We'll just put that on top. And we're working from the middle out instead of the outside in. And here's where you can make all your designs after you get your base on it. Okay, see, my cake's falling apart. Beautiful. Well, when that happens, then your cake starts falling apart. That's when you have to use the sides. And you'll just follow your spatula across the edge. You'll follow it to the bottom of the cake circle. And that's what it's used for. Is you're just letting your spatula fall against the edge, and we'll roll it. Now, usually a cake you would create a cone or a crumb icing first. We would go through this, and I would coat the whole cake, kind of heavy like I am now, and I would come back and scrape it off. And then I'd refrigerate it for at least 30 minutes to an hour and let it sit. And then I'd come back and do a finished frosting, which would use a lot less frosting, but me doing this, I could be scraping the cake and then putting it back in the icing bowl, and whenever I go to ice it again, it's going to have crumbs in it. That's why it's called a crumb icing. But now that we do that, see if I can use my comb and try to make this halfway decent. And this is going to take off the excess too on the sides. Okay. And then I'll make it's called a rose top, just for time. And my cake's falling apart as we speak. So I'm just making I'm just going like a figure eight, up and down, up and down. And it'll do the same thing where it'll have gaps showing the cake. Some people like that, some people don't. If you don't, you just go back over it again, start back over from the beginning. Add more icing in the places that started falling apart. Time purposes, it's not going to work out for me. So, but here in the middle where you have a circle, it's usually where you put fruit or different decorations. But now that I show you how to ice a cake and my cake's falling apart, basically you have your necessary equipment to help build a cake, and you have your optional. I highly recommend the optional too. If you're at least making a cake once a month, it's going to make your life a lot easier. And it's going to take a simply base cake to an elegant cake. So, thank you for your time. And now the best part is tasting the cake. So hopefully it'll taste a lot better than it looks.